अस्सलाम वालेकुम एंड हेलो टू एवरीवन हु इज वाचिंग। उम्मीद करती हूँ कि आप लोग सब खैरियत से होंगे और सबके दिन बड़े अच्छे गुजर रहे होंगे। आज मैं जिस टॉपिक पे बात करने वाली हूँ, इट इज़ अ रियली वास्ट टॉपिक. आई मे नॉट बी एबल टू कवर all aspects of it in just one video. So what I have decided is that I'm going to be doing a series of videos in which I'll be covering different areas around the same topic or issue, you can say. So today we are going to be talking about how to land your first professional job in Australia. 1, 2, 3, yeah. Job search or job hunt is a really tedious process, no matter where you are in the world, and same applies in the Australian market as well. But before I start telling you the different aspects that we should be looking into while we are doing our job search, let me just clarify that I'm talking in a general sense. Which means that I'll be talking mostly about those people who have recently migrated to Australia on either a permanent residency or a temporary residency visa. I'm not going to be covering those who have arrived on student's visa because their stream is entirely different. Obviously, when you have recently arrived in Australia, you do not have any local experience, which can be an obstacle for you to landing your first job. But the best thing is that you have ample opportunities to gain the local experience. For example, you can start volunteering somewhere to get your references locally or to have some work experience. You can do some odd level jobs such as Uber, or you can do some security work in a service station, and there are many other options that you can opt for initially just to have that local experience box checked and your references checked as well. Job hunt या job search itself is a full-time job. So आपको इतना ही serious होना चाहिए अपनी job search में जितना serious आप job करने के लिए होते हैं. It can be really exhausting. It can be really tedious or boring in some ways. Most of the days you may not be really looking into doing it. You really have to motivate yourself to sit in front of the computer and to reach out to employers, to browse through the employment websites, draft your resumes and do all these things. But let me tell you, in Australia, if you have recently arrived, it may take from months up to a year to land your dream job or the job from your own profession or your field where you have already been working overseas. Let me tell you one more thing, that the current market situation is a bit tight. It's a bit challenging for those who are looking for any sort of employment opportunities. Almost 2 years ago, when COVID was going on and overseas migration was completely stalled, there was no influx from offshore. So it was pretty easy, not only to look for a job, but to switch your career and switch your industry as well, because they literally had to work with whatever was available onshore. So compared to what it was then, I would say that it's really challenging. The market is quite lull at the moment, especially for those roles which are entry level or junior level. One of the reasons is that we have a lot of offshore influx. And the other reason is that AI has kind of washed out a lot of junior level or initial level roles in almost every industry. So that also should be kept in mind, that if you have a particular skill set or a particular qualification, that may not be enough, or then that may not be sufficient to land a job easily here. You have to be multi-skilled, so that if you're not able to sell some of your skills, you have other proficiencies to cover. So what I'm going to be doing is that I will cover the major or the basic areas of your job search. This is not an exhaustive list. This is not in sequence. I'll just be covering different points that I thought, based on my experience and based on my observations, I have seen that they play a really crucial role in securing a job. Not easily, I would say, but yes, meaningfully. First and foremost, customized resumes are really, really important. And what do I mean when I say customized resumes? It means that whatever job you are targeting or you are looking into, you have to actually browse through its job description or specifications, or you can say the essential criteria that has been highlighted in that job specification. You have to address the same essential criteria or the success criteria in your resume. So no two resumes should be the same. No two job applications should be the same. For different jobs, the job titles can be same, but the resume that you are sending out along with your application pack has to be different, has to be addressing to all those essential or successful criteria that they have mentioned. And the way we should address the essential criteria is that, for example, if there are 4 or 5 different bullet points that they have highlighted in the job specification for that particular role, you have to address each and every single point or bullet and then explain it with the examples that how you have actually fulfilled that particular criteria. You can relate, like you can talk about some previous examples, or so you can specify where exactly you worked as per that. The size of a resume should be somewhere between 2 to 3 pages, not too long for initial level roles, not too brief, and it should highlight all your qualifications, your experiences, your skill set, addressing the success criteria, like I said, your objective, your contact details, email address, LinkedIn, Facebook profile if you want to share, depending upon the type of job that you are applying on. But yes, it should be a snapshot of who you are and how you fit into that advertised role. A second very important thing, along with resume, is a cover letter. Cover letter is almost as important as a resume, and as per the statistics, almost 80% of Australian employers or recruiters are looking into your cover letters before moving over to your resume. So a cover letter is your first selling document, you can just say that. It should actually compel your reader to not only just go through that, but then move to your resume. So it is like how you would be introducing yourself if you are sitting in front of an employer. Like, for example, it would be the basic questions that you are asked for any job interviews are, can you tell us something about yourself? And how do you think that your skill set is the best fit for our organizations and things like that. So a cover letter has to be snapshot, explaining who you are, what your qualifications and your skill set is, and how do you think that you are a perfect fit or a suitable fit for the organization or for that particular role. So this you have to elaborate in your cover letter. It should be from up to 1 to 2 pages maximum, not more than that. You don't really have to explain everything in it, but yes, just touch base with all the important things. And then to support your cover letter, you have your resume. So they both go hand in hand, you can say. Another very important thing in today's day and age is your LinkedIn profile. Create a LinkedIn profile, update it regularly, because as per the statistics, there are almost 5 million LinkedIn profiles of people who are looking for work in Australia, which means 80% of the recruiters are finding the candidates through LinkedIn. So this shows that how important your updated LinkedIn profile is, and you should always use it whenever you are applying for a job. And LinkedIn is also another way to look for potential employment. Not just LinkedIn, there are many other forums. The main websites to look for any sort of job opportunities in Australia is seek.com.au, indeed.com.au, and fourth thing is building on your English language skills. Australia is primarily an English-speaking country, and just like anywhere else in the world, for example, if you are in Canada, some of the provinces, you should be proficient in French as well. For Germany, it is German. For Australia, it is English. So, and I believe that most of you who have arrived on any sort of residency visa here must have taken your IELTS or PTE exam. So it's assumed that you have foundation or proficient levels of English. But even if you think that you do not have very good communication skills, then it's okay. We can build on those. Do role plays when you are preparing for any sort of interviews. A lot of recruiters do offer mock interview trials or to do role plays for you prior to your actual interview. So that can also be really helpful for you to actually learn the ways of appearing into an interview, the way you should communicate, and the type of questions you should ask from your employer, and how you should address their questions. So yeah, a lot of homework is required, but once you have equipped yourself with your English language skills and the other methods of appearing into an interview, there is a much higher chance that you will stand out. Familiarizing yourself with the Australian job market is also a very important step. Check the kind of roles that are available, browse through the job specifications that are required for those roles. You need to tailor your resumes. Like I said previously also, that your resume and your cover letter should be tailored particularly for those particular job specifications that you are targeting. If I tell you about my experience at the moment, I'm applying for 3 different type of roles in 3 different industries. And so I have prepared my cover letter and my resumes as per those industry requirements. But the other thing is that even if I target one particular industry, I cater to each job specification or each job advertisement differently. I have to amend my cover letter and my resume as per the requirements of those, and then I submit my application back to that employer. You have a lot of tools, really handy tools available on your disposal all the time that you can take help from. For example, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Microsoft Bing, and there are numerous other AI tools where you will just either write down those specifications, or you can brief about your own qualification and your skill set, and they are going to give you a very nice blurb for your cover letters to put in, or they are going to give you some really nice success criteria examples as per those specific highlights that are required. So yeah, make use of all those tools that are available and try to create tailored resumes and cover letters for each job that you apply for. Another really important thing is networking. You need to grow your network. Reach out to people as much as you can. Make yourself available. There are many job seminars and workshops happening almost in every state, especially for new arrivals also. So try and attend those workshops and seminars. You will learn a lot of tips and tricks to address your interviews, to address the different aspects in your application packs. And they will give you a really good ideas of how to approach the employers over here. So yeah, utilize all those free resources that are available. There are many resources available on LinkedIn also. And if you get registered with any recruiter for your particular industry or your qualification, that recruiter is also going to help you a lot. A lot of recruiters have those training programs available where they actually train you. Now is the time that you found a job, you send your application pack, and you have received an email or maybe a phone call. They are inviting you for an interview. So how do we prepare for your job interview? There are some aspects which should not be ignored when you are appearing for your first interview. And also remember that first interview is mostly a kind of an introductory session between you and the potential employer. So they actually want to try and see if you are a best fit or a suitable fit for their organization. And similarly, this is a time for you also to actually see if that particular organization is going to be best fit for you also. So it works both ways. So while preparing for that job interview, you must research the company. And there are many ways to look into the company. You can browse through their website, look at what type of business the company does. If they have their hierarchy available over there, so try and learn some important names. And when you are preparing for that interview, or when you appear for that interview, mention that you have researched about the company, mention some of the names that you have learned while you were doing your research, and also prepare some questions for the employer as well. It is considered really professional over here, and it is really encouraged that You shouldn't only be the one who is just answering their questions, but you are asking them some meaningful questions to increase your information about that company. So it is always encouraged that you should have at least 3 questions prepared for that employer that you can ask during the interview or towards the end of the interview. Another thing on my agenda is qualification recognition, especially if you have got any sort of qualification from overseas, then you should try and get it accredited from here. So there are many different bodies. If there are any sort of licenses required, if there are any sort of registrations required for those particular industry or for your profession, try and avail those. For example, for teachers over here to practice, they have to appear in a couple of different English exams apart from the IELTS or the PTE that you have already appeared in. It depends, it varies with state. Each state has its own requirements to practice as a teacher, especially as an elementary teacher. They have some really strict protocols around the English language proficiency. Similarly, if you are a doctor or a dentist, you have to take a local practice exam before, unless you have that registration or that license, you can't really practice here. And there are many other professions also who require you to get some kind of local qualification or some local licensing or registration before you can actually practice in those. So you have to equip yourself getting all those registrations and licenses, and then you are good. Visa status plays a really crucial role for you to land your dream job or your first job, you can say. Let me be very clear around it. If you have arrived on a permanent residency visa, your chances of getting a job are much easy. The way to actually get to that job is quite smooth compared to any other visa that you have arrived on. The major reason behind that is that no employer would want to hire you or train you or invest in you unless they have that surety and they have that security. You are not going to be leaving the country soon. So that is the reason a lot of jobs that are advertised do highlight that you either have to be a permanent resident or a citizen. A lot of government jobs do have this condition. A lot of public services jobs, a lot of IT jobs have this condition. Even if you are not directly employed by a government organization, if you are accessing any sort of secure data or any sort of government data, then it is required for you to have certain clearances, which are only for those who are citizens or permanent residents. And one more thing that I would want to highlight in the end is that whatever you put up in your resume or your cover letter, you should be able to convince your potential employer around those areas or around those aspects. So you don't really have to be very honest or really truthful in your resume. You can mention some of the things that you may not be an expert in, but if you are able to convince your potential employer during your interview that yes, you are capable of doing that, well and good. And then you can further get trained and learn those skills while you are on job. But yes, of course, do not really go above board. Try to include those things that you are capable of. The employer that is interviewing you, they know really well. They know how to read people. And then because they are going to be asking you the things that you have mentioned in your resume, it's not going to be anything that is not in that document. So when you are preparing for your interview, make sure that you have covered everything that you already have posted out. A lot of times it is a matter of luck as well. Sometimes you may have to move interstate. For example, you may be living in Victoria or NSW, but you can get a very good opportunity in Brisbane or in Western Australia. Then you have to see if it's feasible for you that you can make that move. Go for it. Moving interstate is really common over here. In my 8 years of Australia, I have changed 3 different cities, not particularly for employment purposes, but yes, there are many other reasons for which you may have to move. So it shouldn't be a big deal. There is also a very common myth around Australian market is that some of the employers are really discriminatory or racist. I would say that it is not true to a great extent. A lot of the employers, especially in professional fields or professional industries, are actually looking if you are a perfect fit or a suitable fit for their organization, may not be looking at your skin color or how you appear. It also depends upon you also that what type of industries you are targeting. Like for example, I know that I wear hijab, so I don't really target those industries or those work or those jobs which require me to dress in a certain way or to communicate with people in a certain way. Like for example, I try and avoid doing front desk jobs because I know that I may not be a good fit for those kind of jobs where I have to present myself in a certain way or I have to do a lot of handshaking. So that is the reason you actually have to see if that particular organization or that particular role is going to be a best fit for your personality or for your belief system as well. There can be 100 other reasons for you to not being qualified for any particular role. And a very good thing about Australia is that it is a multicultural country, especially in metropolitan cities. You will see people from many different cultures as much as you will see the Goras. You don't really feel naive or vulnerable when you are moving around, especially in the metropolitan cities. A lot of organizations actually do encourage inclusivity in their workforce. So they want to cater to almost all sort of religions and almost all sort of belief systems depending upon the type of work that they do and the culture that they have. आज के लिए बस इतना ही. मिलते हैं अगली वीडियो में इसी टॉपिक से रिलेटेड किसी डिफरेंट एरिया के साथ. तब तक के लिए अपना बहुत ज़्यादा ख्याल रखिएगा और दुआ में याद रखिएगा. अल्लाह हाफिज़.